Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Get Real with Andy. This is a very special edition with a special guest, Maria Kovar. Is that how you say your last name?
Yeah, that's right. You pronounce it correctly.
Okay. Maria is a really wonderful author, wonderful person. I met Maria years ago at Hippocrates, where I work, and we're reconnecting because a friend of hers asked me to review her book,
Mm.
which is what's it called? The Ultimate Guide to
Emotional intelligence, exactly.
which is a very eloquently written book. I highly recommend. I'll post a little picture of the cover in post-production. And so I'm really happy to speak with you and to meet with you and to reconnect with you, Maria. So let's just start by telling everybody who you are. Who are you?
This question, don't ask me because then a different answer comes. I'm using it in my meditation retreats. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? So that people come to the experience of who they are in the present moment. But I know that your question is targeted to where I come from, who I am. I'm
Nah,
German,
not
blah, blah, blah,
really.
blah, blah.
Not
No?
really. I just wanted to see where
No.
you would go with an open-ended question like
Okay.
that.
Yes. Into the present moment, we are landing when you ask me who you are.
There's
Right now, right here.
one of my favorite quotes from Alice in Wonderland, the book, when the caterpillar asks Alice and he says, who are you? And she says, well, I knew who I was this morning, but I think I've changed several times since then.
Beautiful. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Isn't that a
exactly.
great answer?
A great answer. And yeah, not to use who you are to get lost in story.
Thank you. I've noticed as a therapist that, or even as a person, that story is really a story, period. It's just what we tell ourselves, it's what other people tell us. And most stories may have a germ of truth in them, but they are framed with assumptions and expectations that are basically not necessarily true. And so the story is almost a hindrance to progress a lot of times. But I do want to know your story.
Okay, so maybe I start in the back because I'm living in Switzerland now. I'm working internationally. I worked more than or 40, around 40 years already with people. I started early. And I never somehow dropped or lost the devotion of supporting people to find who they are in this present moment or to healing and to support people to somehow yeah, to find their way out of suffering, to know better who they are, to be more able to unfold their potential, to be more happy. Yeah, so that devotion has been with me basically since I'm very young. And what I did for that was, okay, the ordinary study of psychology, which I finished when I met this enlightened guru Osho, he was called Bhagwan, very notorious. Sex guru, he was called. Well, I was too young for the sex at that time, but I met him finally when he was back in India in 1987. And I met him, and I was blown away by his sense of presence he provided and I made everything possible to live near him because I felt he's dying soon, which he did in 1990. And then there was a moment of a gap, and I was so much supported to work with people, yeah, which in the beginning it was like, I need to first be 100% perfect myself, which of course was stupid, but I didn't know it at the time. And I was supported to actually work with people, even though I'm imperfect and which was great. And that was my, how you say, where I got molded and where I had the 10 years of also doing pioneer work. Yeah. So, because there was no trauma sensitivity in the 80s and in the 90s. And in a way, I was like one of the pioneers bringing that aspect into working with people until I met the work of Dr. Peter Levine. He's American and he really formed and shaped the trauma-informed approaches, um, like somatic experiencing. He met Stephen Porges, who shaped this polyvagal theory. Yeah, so they were great friends, and I started working in that field more.
What's his famous book?
His famous book is, I just wanted to say trauma and memory because I'm teaching that next week. It's not trauma and memory, it's the awakening of the tiger.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I knew
That
it
is,
had some kind of a cool title like that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, cool title. Okay. And now I think he even renames it into learning how to ride the tiger.
Oh,
So, which I find even more cool. So,
yeah, yeah.
because I always teach people, I had my own imagery and saying, let's find how you can navigate your own airplane, or if it's an animal, how you can ride your horse or be with your whatever, whatever the how you say the inner imagery is for one's own self or the potential.
Like
And
like an empowerment
yeah,
image.
and how to navigate with it, how to ride it, So not just to, it's not about taming, it's about learning how to, to be in communion and communication with it. No? Then taming isn't needed. Yeah, so
But you know what the image that comes to my mind right now is the tarot card of strength, where the woman is standing with a red lion and she has this infinity sign over her head. And she, this red lion, you think a lion is ferocious enough, but this one is
yeah.
red, like the
Uh-huh.
passion,
Wow.
the
Yeah.
ferociousness, and she's just gentling it into like a cooperation. And we were
Yeah.
just talking about like putting opposites together, and you just showed me
Yeah.
your painting, which is lovely. If you care to show the public, go for it right
Okay.
now.
I care to show the public, and I want to say something to the red lion because now I'm working with that kind of energy, working with sexuality, teaching couples conscious sexuality, basically from the top to the bottom and back down and up.
Oh my God, that's Switzerland in the background, isn't it? Through the
Yes, this is
window.
Switzerland.
Oh.
And then comes my painting,
Oh man,
right?
I'm having mountain envy right now because I'm in Florida.
Uh,
Okay, here we go, the painting. Oh,
wait.
yeah.
Oops.
And my commentary is that those are really opposites. You got some winter mountains and you got some summer elephants that generally don't hang out in cold mountain areas.
Yes, that's
Did you
right.
did you do that consciously or it just emerged like that?
Both. It emerged like that, but for me, it made total sense.
Uh-huh.
Because for me, the sense lies bringing opposites together, something third, the magic is happening. Yeah, when you can actually stay and hold the opposites, then something new is emerging.
Doesn't
And
doesn't that involve a sense of tension? When opposites are near, that generates energy that a lot of people are uncomfortable with because it seems contradictory or not logical.
yes, it does. And it makes many people insecure. And in a way, what I'm also doing with people is to bring them to the point where they can contain those opposites or hold. And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it has to be big. So one can start slowly with something that is simple. But also, when you see when man and woman meet, a child is created. So if we wouldn't have in nature these these opposites, we wouldn't have something new arising out of it.
Oh.
So this third or this magic component, it's always we see it everywhere in the nature. Learning to tolerate not knowing and holding the opposites
Yeah.
is something really, really precious in life because it also helps us to be much more in the present moment because the curiosity is suddenly there. When you can hold the opposites, then there is an attentiveness which is not stress, it's an awakeness to be there for watching what magic is happening around us. No?
People come to therapy because they want something changed. And yet I've noticed that people hold on to what they're familiar with, even when it's not healthy and even when they know it's not healthy to hold on to it.
Yeah.
What about the resistance to change? You know, because you said when opposites come together, you have to tolerate that tension and wait
Yes.
for something new to emerge. But
Yeah.
people, instead of that, people will do whatever they need to reduce the tension. That's why people do addictive things. And what about resistance to change? Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, when I was quite young working with people, the methods were not so refined. And I realized that maybe people have, wow, amazing experiences, or that those methods would create a reference where their growth would head to, but it wouldn't actually change. So what I learned is also when somebody is facing or his topic is resistance, it's not about yeah bombing his resistance away, but to take small steps. When there is resistance, it's like something is glued together. And if you put a bomb and then the change is not sustainable. So this ungluing needs to be somehow careful, yeah? Like right now when I have my hands like this, then I would say people press a little bit and let go and become aware of the movement that is happening and that of the little space that is happening. And then eventually I would support the people, then they can tolerate a bigger amplitude of movement and a bigger amplitude of space. So it's a slow process, but when it's slow, it's also sustainable. And those changes that occur in my work then remain. Yeah, so it's like building one stone on another to build a new house.
You know, what you're describing and even how you're doing it with your hands,
Yeah,
it makes it look like what you do is not typical talk therapy. And in your book, you write a lot about the role of sensation and
yeah.
physicality in the therapy process. Say a little bit more about that. And why do you think that's important? And is that more effective than just talking about stuff? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
biased. I'm that's my
yeah.
belief too, but I want to hear from you.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And I don't know if you still know the times where even doctors would say, oh, babies don't feel anything because they can't think. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Or we don't give them narcotics because da da da. I mean, stuff like that was still happening when my son was born. Yeah. So, and it's just the opposite. We are sentient beings that think, and we come into this world sentient only. Yeah, there is no other identification with my body, my. Even, we see the first time our hands, and it's not my hands. It's like a tool. It's like a ball I can play with.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
still feel like that sometimes.
yeah, and that's great because this this kind of uh, awareness centeredness. When we come back to that, then we own a body. We don't have it. Yeah, that's a difference. Yeah,
So how
and
do you include sensation and physicality in your work?
yes, in a way, I'm tickling it out of people because with play, I
Great
always
phrase.
say an hour of play, we learn more than an hour of talking about something. Yeah. So in a playful way, and okay, don't tell it to my clients, but I come in through the back. I come in through the back door. They don't even notice it. And
Oh,
suddenly it's
yeah.
like, whoop, something has happened. Something is different. What is this? Yeah, so
Thank
this
you.
is
Oh
the way
man,
I work.
you are speaking my timeline and how I feel the same way. They don't know what hit them, and
Yeah, yeah,
even I don't know
yeah, yeah,
exactly
absolutely.
what I'm doing, but I have a strong sense of direction and I
Yes,
have a sense of the goal, and then I just follow my intuition.
yeah, absolutely.
It's not through a straight line that
No,
that a person gets from A to B. It just
no,
isn't.
it's through the elephants with the winter mountains,
Oh
how I
man,
get
there you
there.
go. Thank you for bringing that together.
So now we solved the riddle of the painting. Yeah, so I also bring, of course, I'm not against the mind, but people have become separated. There have been like di diaphragms happening that are separated, like when you have a blowing up mattress in for the water that has three parts. You know, for many people, one or the other part has a hole and is deflated. So, so there is a sense of fragmentation in many people, yeah. And I'm not talking of the extremely dissociated or but normal people, yeah. So there is a sense of separation in people where I would say all of humanity suffers from the sickness of separation. And my goal is to bring also normal people back that they start to reconnect, that the puzzles that are flying around find their place again. And I'm doing this with sense perception. Sometimes we are talking, then I have people stand up and they move a moment. Then I say, and when you think about the topic again, so little interventions where I bring a little energy into the system, like a magician, or moments where I take a little energy out of the system. So it's like I feel like a magician, and the result that is happening is often like, wow, it's like a firework that we both enjoy, no?
You know, that is a very artistic approach. It's just a very artistic approach to therapy. It's not like a clinician or something. I mean, I'm not saying it's not clinically valid or anything, but it's very artistic. You're an artist.
Yes, and the thing is, yesterday I had a group, I was teaching a group of midwives and doctors who work with, we call them neonatologists, people who work
Neonatal
yeah,
pediatrician.
doctors who work with early birth babies, yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, one of the questions was how to be with the parents and how to support the parents. But the other question was also how you can support the babies who have been undergoing this trauma, or yeah. And here we come to the language without words, which is the emotional intelligence. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Say more about what actually is emotional intelligence and how is it different from cognitive intelligence?
And okay, we all have it because we all feel what's going on. Yeah. So, and the younger we are, the more we just feel. We sense the atmosphere. We get sad when our parents are sad. We are happy when our parents are happy. As children, we cannot even separate us too much from the parents. We very much adopt, like an amoeba adopts to the environment, so does a little child, emotionally. And and so that is the first intelligence we are all born with. But then the education comes cognitive, 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 effort, functioning. And it often, and oh, to be angry is bad, to be too alive is bad, to boys shouldn't cry, The emotions are somehow, there is some common fear of emotions, which is the five basic emotions which are helping us to survive: fear, anger, disgust, happiness, and what is the fifth one? I don't know. I forgot now.
Did you say sadness?
Sadness also. Yeah. Sadness. Yeah, yeah, all. So, and the feelings are what we make out of these emotions. Yeah. So the emotions, it's something that supports our survival. So it's inbuilt it's the first we have before we have the cognitive. It's what we have in our limbic brain and what we share with the mammals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they also have feelings. They have a social community. It's emotional intelligence which enables and supports us to be connected with others, to to um, to share, to support, to love, to actually, when you have emotional intelligence, war is not anymore possible because war is born out of separation and out of territorial. That's mine and that's yours. There's no emotional intelligence in wars. There are emotionally intelligent people who have to go to wars because they are forced by the authorities. But that's something different, no?
Yeah.
And so it's dangerous if we actually do not develop, or if we do not, it's not about developing, it's coming back to what we once had. Yeah,
So
because
you're saying that emotional intelligence is innate. It's what we're
it's
born with.
innate.
It's
It's what we
already
born
there.
with.
We need
Yes.
to undo whatever it is on top of
Yes.
it.
Yes. And then, of course, there is an undoing. And if a child never learns from their role models or never gets regulated, then they have difficulties to main having, then they don't know how. If a child throws a tantrum and the parent cannot be with the child in that moment, it doesn't know what to do with that. So as an adult, it also doesn't learn how to handle a lot of energy or anger. Yeah, because a lot of anger can actually bring us to clarity and to be really clear with our boundaries for ourselves and our family. No? So it's a very good and healthy um, em emotion and feeling when we have when we can handle it and it's not destructive and we also don't turn it against us. Yeah.
And would you say, I know this is a strange sounding question, but is it easy or is it difficult to return? What's your experience with your clients? Do they have to work really hard?
Okay, there are of course different clients. When people have peri, postnatal trauma or very early trauma and they had inadequate parents or they were alcoholics or da da da, so that they didn't have anybody to really take care of them, then very often because a baby cannot run away or attack, they freeze, which means the freeze is it's even already freezing. They never learn to tolerate more energy. So when I have a client like that, it's sometimes uh, we are repairing what has not been uh, given in that early time. Yeah, to bring awareness to, when you like to be together with a person, because somebody comes, for example, I feel I cannot love. I have no emotions, and life is a bit dull. Yeah, and but when you are with a person who you really like, do you have any temperature sensation in the body? Because that's mostly what those people have. Oh, then my heart, then that area is warm. Okay, stay with your hand there. If it's warm, then often the warmth expands. And then I say, couldn't it be that this sign of warmth shows you that this is love? Yeah. So I'm helping them to find, when something is cold in the liver, when something is hot in the belly, when something is, it's often with temperature. Too much energy somewhere, or too little, or just the right amount of energy, pleasant. And then I help them to find uh, uh, words for that, and that they actually learn emotional literacy and that they can identify that this warmth in the body is actually love.
Okay. It is like remedial work. This is the stuff that healthy children in a healthy environment learn when they are
Exactly.
children, and
Yes.
you're just helping them do it whenever they can.
Yes, whenever they can. And I
But
say it's never too late to have a happy childhood.
you
Yeah.
didn't make that one up, though, did you?
No, I didn't make that one up. But I must
I
admit that
I made that one up in the late 50s. No, I
oh,
didn't.
that could be.
No, I didn't make that one
But
up.
I cannot bring any honor to the person who made it up because I don't know who it was.
Yeah, I know, me neither. So listen,
But
I want to change the focus.
okay, let's change.
There was something in your book that you described an experience that you had when you were a kid. I forget exactly how you ended up, but you were in the hospital and had like a major amnesia where you didn't even recognize your parents.
Yes, yes,
So did you ever snap out of that?
yes, and it's very interesting. And actually, next week I'm teaching a day for specialists in the on trauma and memory, and I became a specialist actually when I was 13. Yeah, so shall I talk about what happened then, how
Yeah,
it was?
please, please.
Yeah. So, okay, I had a riding accident, landing basically from the horse in the hospital, waking up out of my amnesia, and there were two ladies with me, older, and I would wake up, no, where I am. I would ask, oh, hello, what happened? Uh, where I am? They said, well, you are in the hospital. I said, okay, thank you. And then 10 minutes later, I would forget and I would ask them again.
Oh,
Yeah. So after asking three, four times, you know, you are back to a reset has happened in terms of emotional intelligence. Yeah. So I felt when it wasn't adequate anymore to ask them because I could feel I have had gone on their nerves with my questioning. Yeah, so I was learning to tolerate, to not know where I was and to forget their reply after 10 minutes. Yeah, so even though they told me I'm in the hospital, after 10 minutes, I had forgotten again. No?
but you knew not to ask them again at a
Yes,
certain
I knew
point.
not to ask them. That's where emotional intelligence is at
Yeah,
place
okay.
because you can pick up in the atmosphere. Yeah. So, next step. My parents, who are so happy that I not only survived, but that I also woke up from amnesia after coma. Yeah. So they come in and laughing, and they are so happy. And I am so happy that they are so happy. And then I asked them, or my mother said, oh, you are awake, daughter. And she comes very near, and I feel a little bit, that's strange. This stranger takes me in her arm. So I ask her, sorry, who are you?
Oh, that must have freaked her out.
She burst in tears. She burst into tears. And I said, okay, 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 you are my mother. I accept that, no problem. Then the man behind you must be my father. I also accept that. All I wanted is I wanted for them to be happy again. Yeah, because then I also would have been able to be happy again.
Okay,
But
that's
that was the
basic
hardest thing
basic
for me.
kid stuff, right?
Yeah, that was the hardest thing for me to tolerate their despair of me not recognizing them. No? Okay, so then, yeah, and basically I did everything to comfort. I'm sure it will come back. I didn't know. I didn't have a clue in that moment. And actually, honestly, from that place I was in, I didn't care if my memory would be back or not. I was entirely present and happy and as I was. Yeah, so
Okay. That's the part of the story that I found extraordinary, that your parents were freaked out. That's understandable, but you were not freaked out.
no, I
And
wasn't
that
freaked out.
was that was extraordinary. I think that you were sort of content as a kid, as a parentless child.
Yes, absolutely. I'm content in my own being, let's say, yeah. And then there came a moment, I don't know, maybe after a few days or so, where I felt inside myself, it was like, in a way, I had a little bit a choice. I don't know if I really had a choice, but it was like stepping back into the spider web meant regaining all the memories I had. And by regaining all the memories, that was a crucial point. I could see, oh, there is this, the good memories, and on that side is the bad memories. Here is the deal. I cannot only go and say I only want the good memories. If I get my memory back, I have to buy the whole package.
And
And I get it for free.
but are you saying that you were somehow at a point of choice? I can have it all or stay where I am without
Yeah,
memory.
yeah, yes.
And so are you saying you chose to reconnect with memories?
But it wasn't an easy choice, I have to say, because that state I was in, it's what many people are after seeking enlightenment. Yeah?
To be free from your own history.
Yes,
And you
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, okay, now I know the other side, how it is to be consciously in the here and now, and to just exist. I would have just been this happy little Buddha creature, laughing, being friendly, and I had always a friendly nature. Yeah, so this nature, yeah, I would have been in that. So there was a choice, and it was like, okay, when I choose, I get the whole package. And here we are again with polarity and emotional intelligence, So the emotional intelligence was also in the place of absolute innocence and non-identification. Yeah, so, but with memory coming back, the challenge is how to bring those two places together. or how not to lose that place of presence when this memory comes back, and that you cannot only choose the good, you also have to choose the bad. And I could recognize, or I gave it an image like it's returning into a spider web, which helps you to survive. That spider web is like a reference for experiences where oh, this is bad, don't go there. This is good, orient there. So, yeah, it forms your identity, yeah, of what you do in life, what it also creates. I mean, we couldn't do what we do if we would not also have that spider web. Yeah, so
So the spider web is like a map of our experiences. Our memory is like a map, and we can use the map to navigate with.
yes, it's like a map. For most people, it becomes a spider web where they are trapped into. And then that is their, yeah, it's a life mission. Many people are not conscious about it, but I see that every living being is orienting towards, you know, gaining that freedom of non not identification and being in full presence, but with all of the whole map. Yeah, so the map is a neutral word for it. Yeah, so basically to transform the spider web into a map that can be lived from, that can be used from that living presence of being in the moment. Yeah,
So you,
so
you
in a
can
way,
have
I
you
never.
can have the map and use the map, but not be
Yes.
had by it.
Exactly, absolutely. And later in my spiritual search, or when I came to Osho, it was like I felt I never really lost the connection to that source of life, or especially with 13. That was a very strong experience, which also enabled me to somehow always maintain a certain part of the presence from that point on. Yeah, it's that I never lost it anymore. I mean, I did a lot of stupid things also in my life. Yeah, I wasn't safe from stupidity and from, yeah, whatever, no?
Want to hear a great quote from Albert Einstein
Uh-huh.
about stupidity? He said, "The universe and human stupidity are both infinite, and I'm not sure about the universe."
Yeah, that's great. And I'm not sure about the universe. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I mean, like this human part of it that we never lose, so which means we are also always, that's why I say it's great to cultivate a beginner's mind because we are always learning in life. But when we feel a specialist and we think we know more than another, then that's where the difficulty starts, no?
I've come up with a saying, those who live by the map die by the map.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's a little harsh, but I
yeah,
mean, if you get
yeah,
lost in the map, then you're gonna suffer. The
yeah.
the map isn't the thing. The map is not the real terrain. If I drive in a car and have a map in front of me, I'm setting myself up for a crash.
Yes, absolutely. You look a little bit like Osho, but Osho said it a little bit more poetic, or maybe other Zen masters. Don't look at the finger pointing to the moon. Look to the moon, the finger is pointing at. No? Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Amen.
Mm. All right.
Okay, let me ask you this. This is a very basic and big question, but how would you define mental health? What's the goal, you could say? What does healthy mean?
But I mean, okay, I always say to people, how do you feel when you are healthy? You don't feel anything in your body, no? Because you don't feel anything, you are just relieved. There's nothing. Well, when there is pain, then the body signals that there is something not in order and we have to attend to it.
Yeah,
The same is with the mental health, yeah? But only to not feel nothing is not enough. In order to anchor nothingness into our emotion and our body, we
yeah.
need to develop this capacity to self-reflect and to actually anchor it into our senses and in our body. And for me, that is what real health is, basically to attend to knowing oneself better and to learning to navigate within one's own self. And in a way, that taps us or that brings us closer or even totally together with the very source of life. And that for me is mental health, physical health, spiritual health, Emotional health.
And you're saying I love that phrase you just used to anchor the nothingness in requires some practice.
It
Um,
requires some
but
practice,
you
yeah.
are actually the assumption in that statement is that there's a value, there's an intrinsic value in that nothingness state. Could you say a little bit more about that? What do you mean by that? Why would that be healthy? Because you said when we're healthy in our body, we don't notice anything. We only notice disturbances and pain and stuff like that. So that's the kind of nothing you're referring to, where it's not painful.
Exactly. And if the not painful, and the not painful, that can be worked on. How is the non-painful? Well, it's light. Well, when it's light, how is light in the body? How it's light in your thoughts? How is light in your emotion? So it's really bringing a form for this individual person, and there is as many individual expressions for lightness as there are people living. Yeah,
But
so
are you saying that the nothingness is not just the absence of pain?
no, it's not just the absence of pain. No. Yeah. And also what I mean, when the when our brains are somehow separated and the mind takes over control over the body and da 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 da. But when all of the three parts of the brain are in alignment, yeah, like the thinking process, the neocortex for the thinking process, the emotions for the limbic brain, the the physical or the cellular implicit memory from the stem brain and the instinctive brain. When all of that comes in an alignment, something happens where we can actually really experience this. A oneness in ourself. Of course, I cannot say you and I, we are one. I can only say we are separate. But when there is this alignedness happening, I can experience this oneness, and I can also experience this underlying current of what actually makes, this for what is for some people God or the source of life or Atma or the breath. And it's something we can really embody and come in cut and touch with. And this is where the nothingness ultimately leads us. That's where the work, where the work has to happen. And once people really experience the value of it and the fun of it, then they love to continue with it. Yeah. So
In a way, what what I'm hearing, what you're describing is like becoming more and more like a newborn baby. In addition, not to replace all the learning and the adult map making that we've done, but to
yes,
somehow
exactly.
have that be in the foreground way more. Because, children's stuff and baby awareness is mainly in the background for most people, I would say. And
Yes, yes,
I like it best when I feel like I'm brand new. Even if I'm in my own house that I'm very familiar with, I could walk around and it's dark. I can find all the light switches because I'm familiar with it. But to
yeah.
be in my own familiar environment and have a sense of feeling brand new, that's just the best. I love that a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I remember a time in my life, when I was quite young, I felt so much older than I'm now. Now I'm not feeling old. I'm feeling fresh every day. But, in my 30s, I felt, oh, I have so much life experience, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and it was like I came to the point. No, it was when I met Osho with 24. I wanted to, you know, unload that load. And I had in a way forgotten how it was when I experienced with 13 this state of being, yeah, a vegetable in the here and now without the map, but a happy vegetable. You could say a happy vegetable or Buddha nature. It's both the same, yeah. So, but but a
Happy
vegetable,
vegetable.
but a happy vegetable with a map becomes a Buddha, yeah. So that's
Okay.
for me the
That
difference,
that
no?
is quite a sentence you just said. A happy
Yeah,
vegetable with a map is
yeah,
becomes a Buddha. Okay.
yeah,
Because what I hear you saying is these may be opposites, but they belong together, and that's what
yeah.
enlightenment is. These are the qualities of enlightenment, where we have
Yes,
our baby nature and we're we're not like navigating the world like a baby, but we're navigating with intelligence and, I know how to drive my car, stuff like that. I don't
Yeah.
have to be blank in order to be in touch with that nothingness that you're referring to.
Yeah, and otherwise you would be a happy vegetable. Yes.
Yeah. And my philosophy is eat vegetables, don't be one.
Oh, yes, that's great. Ah, yeah, that's you are in Hippocrates. You can eat a lot of
Right.
vegetables.
Yeah.
So,
I even have a t-shirt that says
yeah,
eat vegetables, don't be one.
be honest, that's great. Yeah, I
All
love
right,
it.
listen, I want to change the subject again. I want to change the
Yeah.
focus. I have some quotes from your book that really jumped out at me. You're a very eloquent writer, and I really relate to your style and how you use your words. Even listening to you here, I like how you think and I like how you talk. Even that whole
Okay.
triune brain thing, that's totally a main focus in my book. This is the basis of the model that I work with because I want my work to be based on science in a way. It's got to be scientific, humanistic, and personal at the same time. Otherwise, it's fragmented. All right, here we go. This is mainly about some of this is about relationships, but here's a quote that I really like. Growth starts with looking inward, not to fix yourself, but to understand yourself. It means noticing how you feel and react and what drives your choices, especially when things are unplanned. Over time, this inner attention builds a deeper relationship with yourself, one rooted not in perfection, but in presence.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You don't have to say anything. That was just
No,
me quoting you and appreciating.
I'm just laughing with you, yeah? Because it's also the ability to be able to laugh about oneself also. Yeah, the
Okay.
imperfection. I always said, once you become free from the need to be enlightened, wow, that's the greatest day because so much stress falls away. Once we are free from the need to be perfect, wow, what a relief. That's being human, having become a human, yeah, again. Because we were that when we came into this world, but then we lost it on the way, or it was educated out of us. I could
Educated out of it.
say a lot about the education system and revolutionizing it. I'm a hidden revolutionizer, but yeah,
I think you're a radical.
yeah, I'm quite radical,
I
absolutely.
mean,
Yeah,
radical means root, right?
yeah,
You're
yeah,
you're
yeah.
a radical. You're a radical therapist. And I mean that in the best sense.
Yeah,
All
yes.
right, and these next quotes are mainly about relationship stuff. Trust is the invisible thread that holds people together. It makes openness possible. It lets you show up without fear, be vulnerable without losing your strength, and become part of a relationship built on emotional intelligence. Trust builds when you follow through on what you promise, when you listen without judgment, when you are consistent, not perfect, when you admit when you are wrong, and you create a space where both people feel seen and safe. That is just so beautiful and so ideal, and it sounds so simple.
Mm.
I mean,
I'm sometimes reading my own book and I think, wow, it's a good book. It could have been me who wrote it, And then I realized it was me who wrote it.
is that your experience as I'm quoting you back to yourself? It's like,
Yes,
damn, that's pretty damn wise.
that's pretty damn wise. Yes, it's I could have said that too, but I could have. Who is that person who said it? Oh, me. Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good on you, as they say in Australia, because these are very pointed
Mm,
and just it is poetic, but just very simple, simple. And then, this is something that I know couples face. I've worked with couples.
mm,
How they deal with conflict is more central to than how they deal with the good times. The cohesiveness of a couple is more
mm,
in how they deal with the difficult times than how they deal with the good times. But here you said to stay connected even when strong feelings come in. In those situations, self-awareness meets relational honesty. You notice the rising tension in your body. You pause, you breathe, you ask yourself, Is this reaction about what's happening right now, or is it touching something old? When both people in a relationship are willing to do this, something powerful opens up. There's room for emotion without blame, for honesty without rupture. Love that
Mm.
last two sentences.
Yes, yes, yes. And shortly after that comes also creating or trying to create the understanding of the trigger react cycle. That when we manage to trigger, pause, then not a reaction is needed, but a freedom to respond in a way that we want. Yeah, so how important these moments are to also slow down in this whole process, no?
Okay, so it takes a pause to interrupt the reactivity.
Absolutely, yes.
Because I've noticed for myself, I'm reactive when I'm defending something. I feel
Mm,
attacked or whatever, and
mm,
my instinct is to just fight back or push back.
mm,
And it does take a kind of intelligence to say, okay, what's happening and what's actually is my choice? How do I want to deal with this? How do I choose to navigate?
mm.
I'm totally a student of relationships. I'm still learning this stuff. I think I'm making a little progress.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right,
And
here.
I'm enjoying in the moment to be single. Yes, very much. No, but I was all my life in relationships, and now I'm 5 years out of relationship or out of marriage. And it's also very, very, very precious to me. I have a lot of friends, I have a lot of relating going on, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's also a great time to see, to come to the place of I could have again an intimate relationship with a man, but if also not the right person in the sense of, where it would match me comes, that would be totally fine also. Yeah, so that's also a freedom. And
I've heard some
yeah,
people say, I ask them, well, why are you staying in this bad relationship? And they will tell me, well, it's better than nothing. But my
yes,
personal belief is that nothing is better than nothing.
yeah, 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 yeah. And that is a fear of all this, is a fear of, yeah, some people rather stick with something bad because they are even more afraid to be with themselves. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm done with that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And anyway, that fear is never a good base for starting a new relationship. When we have that fear of being with ourselves, it's really great to take care of that first.
Right. It's like the difference between empty cup relating and full cup relating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, if you imagine when you have an empty cup or meaning there is nobody really there, then who you can relate to, you know, it needs, if, then people are maybe so much together. You often have couples where you see they are even more unhappy being together than being alone because there is nobody to relate to. They are so much stuck in their, like this. And then it needs a little space and it needs two individuals where energy can flow in between to have a relating or relationship, no?
Yeah. And that's filled with paradox also, where how do you become one with somebody? Is that possible? Or, and you're pretty much saying in order to have a really good union, you need to have some space between you. That
Yes,
sounds a
absolutely.
little paradoxical. I
Yeah.
get it. I think that's just the way it is.
Yes, and it doesn't mean, and of course, it's more the flexibility to change. You can hug and cuddle and sleep together or be like this or that. But then again, also play with the energies, come and dance or, you know, let the man establish the biological difference a little bit, to make clear who's a man and who's a woman. The women can become like a cat in the night and can be the boss in the daytime. Yeah, so this sort of thing, a healthy relationship needs, no? But it still needs this poles, this polarity in us that to embody, no?
Okay. And I also noticed in your book, you talk about emotional intelligence in different areas, one of which is the relationship. And then you also talk about it in the workspace. And I
Mm.
found that very inspiring and I'm ready to give my bosses, your book and highlight that chapter. Because
Yeah.
if every business owner or anybody who works with anybody could just follow those basic principles of staying
Mhm.
connected and, ideally everybody wants to work in a happy workplace.
Yes,
That,
absolutely.
that's
And
not
give their best, yeah. But
if
if it's hierarchical, and ruled with power, it becomes poison, then you don't want to be there anymore.
right, and that's not good business anymore, in my opinion. To
No,
to have
absolutely.
an intimidating workspace, that's not good business.
No.
This is like you can train a dog to do what you want by hitting it every time it does something you don't want. And then you'll
Mm.
have a dog that does what you want, but it'll be a scared dog.
Mm.
Or you reward it when it does, closer to what you want. And then you'll have a happy dog who just wants to please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
I want to be a happy dog.
Yeah, yes. I think we all, actually, all of humanity would like to be a happy dog. And some people think if I cannot be happy, I also don't want others to be happy.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, this is what war is. I'm not happy, so the whole world should not be happy. Yeah, something like
Goodness,
that.
goodness.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, so you're actually implying, if not outright saying, that if you could bust these things within yourself, if you could be free, freedom, internal peace is the path to peace with each other.
Absolutely. Yes. And I often, when I teach groups or workshops with the topic intimacy, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, the first thing is to get to more in contact with oneself. And the more I'm in contact with myself, the deeper the connections will be that I'm having. And the more fulfilling and content we are with those, no?
Okay. All right, listen, is there anything else you'd like to say as like a wrap up type statement? And I must say, I'm really enjoying talking with you. I like listening to you. You're just very eloquent. You're speaking from a place of wisdom, and that's not the same as know-it-all. You're speaking it like you see it, rather than this is how it is, or something like that. Where
Yeah.
you're not coming from the map. You're coming from the heart, and I appreciate that about you.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy. Yes, and I'm appreciating. I love our conversation. And wrapping up, well, we are back to the point where we started from. Yeah, so wrapping up is always beginning new. So we could either finish now or we begin a new cycle. Yeah, so
Okay. Whoops.
and like to be always open to what comes next and to keep to again find the curiosity we once had, because when we can face life out of with a curious mind, then it will replace, you know fear is an empty spot. When it's filled with curiosity, it's the same, or excite the positive excitement and curiosity is the same heart rate like what fear has. So if we can just bring the curiosity back, we don't need fear anymore. Yeah. So, but an openness and yeah, love comes automatically with curiosity. No?
Okay.
So it's actually very simple. Come, take your curiosity and start to explore the world every moment, every day new. So this is what I would have to say.
Amen. That's the flag I want flying over my house. If I
Okay,
if I
great.
had a
Yes.
flag. All
Yeah.
right.
If I had a house, yeah, I would.
You don't have a
No,
house?
no, I'm renting an apartment in this beautiful farmhouse, not my
Yeah.
own.
Yeah. So do you ever come to the States when you
I
coming
was
back?
thinking to come to Hippocrates again, but in this next year I will not have time actually. I got invitations to teach in Thailand, in China, in
Really?
Czech Republic, in Poland.
Wow,
Then
cool.
I'm teaching also in Switzerland. So I'm if I get an invitation to come to Hippocrates, yes, or somewhere, and or maybe I'm actually invited to New York on the 26th April 26th to receive the Big Book Award for my book.
Yeah.
I won it. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean,
lovely.
I would just get paid the dinner. So, and I actually have a workshop to teach that weekend. So I will not come to you to New York just for that.
Do you want me to go to New York and receive your prize for you?
Ah, yes, that would be
Okay.
a great
All right.
idea.
Yeah, sure. You just give me your speech and I'll say it in a German accent and
Yes.
all right, well
They
listen,
will
thank
see.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you
They will
so
see.
much.
Oh, this Maria Kovar looks strange.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm into transformation. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Well, thank you so much. I hope
very
you
welcome.
listeners and viewers got a lot out of this. I know I did. So thank
Mhm.
you. And I could see getting together again because we sort of brushed over, not brushed over, we covered a lot of territory. We could, pick a specific topic and really get into it. But
Go
I
deep.
noticed that how you think about stuff and the models that you work with are so similar to the models that I work with in terms of the triune brain. And
Yeah.
uh, I think you'd really like my books actually, uh,
Yeah.
because I elaborate on the science of it, and I even hypothesize some things that have since been found to be true scientifically about the
Wow. Yeah.
neuropeptide system.
Yeah.
And I just thought, yeah, it's got to work like this. And they're finding new evidence that supports that.
Amazing. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So I will look your books up, and you let me know about your YouTube channel,
yeah,
and
yeah.
maybe this video I can also post.
Yes, yes. All right.